Hi everyone, my name is Karinzza Voyles and I'm a student in the Media Entertainment Department here at CSU Pueblo. This video is part of a series designed to introduce you to some of the amazing faculty we have here at this department. In short, we're showcasing how their combined industry and academic expertise provide our students with invaluable education and mentorship. Today I'm here with Professor Dakota Sandras, who teaches our strategic communication courses. Hi Dakota, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be a part of this project with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking some time out of your day to do this. I appreciate it. So, for the students who don't know you outside of CSU Pueblo, please introduce yourself and what you teach, please.
Sure. I am Dakota Sandras. I am, as you said, the professor of strategic communication formally here. But what that really means in terms of the classes that I teach is kind of everything from media theory and studies courses, so some of our entry-level courses, to our end of semester, or I guess I should say our end of program courses like capstone, or some of our final research classes. And then in between, I teach a lot of our journalism and communications classes like public relations and social media and online strategies. I've taught an influencers class, so lots of that kind of world.
Awesome. What's something about you that your students might be surprised to learn about you?
That's a great question. I'm sure that there's lots of things that my students don't necessarily know, but I think that one of the main things that I would say that they might not really recognize is really how much outside of class that I put into maintaining industry expertise here. So I do run a business on the side that I call Ally Social Marketing. Here's a fun fact to make it something that students might not learn, is that I named it Ally Social Marketing because Dakota means friend or ally. And so when I started the business, the whole point was to be essentially like a secondary support system to businesses and brands who need mostly social media and digital marketing and communications support. So managing that business, I hope that you all maybe are a little bit surprised with how much that takes because you all are my priority here. But doing that on the side is pretty significant labor, but it also is what I think makes me the professor that I am and is what helps me really have insight to tell you all what the actual demands of industry are right now.
Sweet, I love that. Can you walk us through your journey into strategic communication? What first inspired you to pursue this path?
I have a kind of multi-route pathway to have gotten here. Most of my education was in communication studies. When I was an undergrad, I had no idea what I actually wanted to major in. I just knew I liked people. And I took a public speaking class as part of my GE requirements and ended up loving it, and then took an interpersonal communication class and ended up loving that. And what I thought, I kind of thought I would be into the world of like psychology or human development, but I tell people now that where those kind of classes and subjects are a lot to do with the nature side of the way people think. Communication studies is a lot of the nurture side of the way people think, or the way that we're socialized, or that culture ends up kind of making us who we are and develops the way that we interact with each other. And I paired that with a marketing minor. I still to this day tell people that even though traditionally on paper a lot of my roles look like they've been in marketing, at least on the professional side, my communication studies degree is inevitably, or I should say invariably, more valuable in terms of being able to craft messages, think about audience analysis and engagement when you're looking at the holistic picture of how things might be perceived or what comes across as professional or not, or you name it in that gamut. Communication was huge there. So after undergrad, I ended up working in industry for a while, for about 4 years, and then kind of hit a point, I'd started my business by then, where I either knew that I wanted to scale that up or kind of reevaluate where I was going. And I had an inclination to teach, but I didn't really want to do K through 12. So I sort of knew it was going to be kind of PhD or best, but I had a great mentor who said, you know, you can always try to find a master's program that has a teaching assistantship. And if you do that, you'll learn quickly if that actually is the direction that you want to go. I ended up getting into LSU, Louisiana State University, and I have not looked back since. From day one there, absolutely loved getting to teach and just diving more into the research side of communication as well. So on the academic front, most of my research really is in what we call rhetoric and public culture, or cultural studies, which is kind of more that media study side. So it's, in short, I just say it's really analyzing the relationship between media and culture and the way that all of our various media products influence culture and vice versa. And on the side, I was still maintaining my business. So when this position opened up, and I know that we'll kind of get to talking about this too, it really did seem like kind of the best of both worlds. I knew I wanted to work at a smaller, maybe more regional university where I could be able to apply both that research side, which I enjoy, but also really invest in more of a hands-on and applied learning program, because I see that being the direction where most of you go. So I ended up here, even though technically my background is communication studies. Actually, Strengths Finders, if you're familiar with this, my number 1 and 2 strengths are strategy and communication. And so I think it's kind of a fun coincidence that I ended up exactly in a role that is that.
Sweet, I love that. What were some defining moments or mentors, now that you mentioned mentors, that helped shape your career and your creative voice?
There are so many people who have influenced me and helped get me to where I am today. As many of you, I'm sure, would say too, friends and family are always foundational to that. And having that support from the beginning and people who just believe in you and empower you makes all the difference in the world. More professionally, though, I've had the pleasure of having really incredible professional bosses and mentors who are have been encouraging for me to take next steps, right? So they've seen that there could be more of a future, there could be growth opportunities, and they've encouraged me toward those. And then I've also had truly really incredible professors who I would say have made more of an impact than anything else. It's part of why I value my role here so much, and that they really are the ones who have opened my eyes to what potential possibilities could get there, and who have helped really identify the steps that it takes to make that happen. So even when I was in my PhD, for example, a lot of them were clear about the necessity to publish really in research and how important that is for being able to move into a role as a professor. And so they encouraged that and made that possible. And now that absolutely has opened some of these doors. So those are huge ones, I would say.
What was your first real experience working in the strategic communication industry, and what did it teach you?
Good. I thought about this question a little bit since you had sent us these to prepare, and I was like, traditionally it would be my first role at a marketing agency out of college, but I would actually say that it was one of the first kind of work study positions that I had when I was in college, and I was just an administrative assistant for the Alumni Association. But so much of that had to do with writing and being careful and conscious about the way that I was contacting alumni. It would be how we're presenting or advertising the events that we were hosting. And all of that, whether I knew it or not, was absolutely rooted in strategic communication. And so if we think of strategic communication really just being most simply the best way to communicate the best message to the best audience and at the best time and the best channel, that kind of conscientious approach is required in, I would say, most positions and industries, but especially any that involve that more interpersonal element. So I would take it all the way back that far, but maybe more traditionally that first role in a marketing agency.
Awesome. Is there a particular project or moment in your career that really stands out to you, and why?
I think it honestly was when I first came for my interview here. And that I had a moment it was actually in this very TV studio where you all were asking great questions after I had done my teaching demonstration. And I was realizing it felt like the first moment where I was truly actually able to merge my academic expertise and my professional expertise. And I actually didn't even realize how much that would hit me, or maybe how separate I had realized I had been keeping those. And so being here and having you all ask questions that were really applied but still critical and conscious of some of the theoretical background was an awesome experience, and it still has felt like that. So that kind of felt like my worlds colliding in a bit of a dream come true moment, and so actually seeing that come to fruition and getting hired here too was amazing. The cherry on top.
Awesome. What caused you to choose Colorado State University Pueblo as your place of employment?
I chose CSU Pueblo for a number of reasons. One is that Colorado is home for me. So all of my family, grandparents, brother, parents, they're in the Springs area, so not too far away from here. So I knew that it would allow me to be close to them. But the other elements here are both as a university and in this department in particular. One, I know I've said this, I know this is a large part of the foundation of your project too, but it is so rare to find a program that really equally kind of values this academic foundation with really tangible applied skills, and you all are getting that. And so I really believed in that mission and that focus of this department. I was excited to be a part of it. The other side is the university itself. I love that it's what we call a regional comprehensive university. There's a lot of statistics around CSU Pueblo, and even certifications and designations that we've received from like Carnegie, for example, that recognize how much career preparedness students here are leaving with. I also love that it's a Hispanic serving and a minority serving institution. I love how many students here are first gen and who are local to the area and to the community, and it really shows me you all are here because you want to be here and you're invested in being here. You're proud to be here. You really recognize the opportunity that you are receiving here. And I love getting to invest in that and return some of that energy to you. That's not always the case at some of the larger universities. And being here and seeing that you all have access to incredible resources, honestly very similar to what you would see at large universities, but have absolutely unprecedented access to your professors and to support and to peers who can join you in things, and just being a part of that kind of environment and that kind of community, I wouldn't trade it. And for any of the challenges that can come with being at a smaller state school like this too, that can happen anywhere, but this community is pretty unbeatable to me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. How does teaching align with your personal and professional goals as a communicator and educator?
Those things are all intertwined to me. I don't know how teaching can not be involved with communication and education. But for me, teaching is really about translating complex ideas into more understandable and applicable, I guess, concepts, to put it. I think I could word that better, ironically, for this question. But to me, teaching is so much about trying to fill gaps, essentially, is what I'm wanting to say. In that it's from your education into your professional career. It's also in filling gaps between what you know and what you don't know. It's also in filling gaps in your confidence, between saying like what you feel like you can do and actually empowering you and showing you, yes, you can do this. So to me, that's really where communication and education come into that. And it is like, am I sharing things with you in the right way that is filling those gaps and that is easing the bridge across the board in all of those ways?
Awesome, awesome. What do you love most about teaching at CSU Pueblo?
I feel like I did just hint on that a lot, and I realized that I got there. But truly, to me, it is the community that we have here. This is it's close-knit. I love that when you all graduate, it's like I want to hug every single one of you because I've gotten to know you. And it's that kind of relationship, truly, I want you all to know this as students too. We really do see you, and we really do care about you, and that doesn't always get to be the case when you're at a bigger school or there's lecture halls of hundreds of students, and maybe down the line you do get to know professors better, but here it really is like, I'm surprised now if I see somebody in our department who I haven't met yet or whose name I don't know. And I really love that about the culture that we have here, and the way that it lets us actually be able to step in and support you and encourage you, and just makes watching you succeed so much deeper and more meaningful too.
I totally agree. It's like a welcoming community that we have here.
It really
Yeah. When you think about your students here, what makes you most proud or hopeful for the future?
I love seeing that you all, one, I think you're way more hardworking than a lot of people give credit for. Maybe that's because of the unique community that we have here, and that you all see what it takes, and you're willing to put in the effort to make it happen. That's huge. So watching that, and what that really shows me is like, not just in terms of your career and your academic life, but knowing that who you will be as humans outside of this it means that you're people who are going to invest in your communities and in your spaces. And the other part of that is that I hear you all really consciously and critically wanting to work together and hear each other out. I have a lot of very discussion-based classes, and so seeing you all be open to each other and support each other even just makes me hopeful for like society at large, and just the way that you all are interacting with each other and with other humans, and that you treat other people is major too.
Awesome. If there's anything you would like to say to the lovely audience, what would you want to say to them for like encouragement?
For encouragement, I would say to encourage the audience, I would say if you are watching this as a current student, I hope that you are proud to be here. If you're watching this as a prospective student, I would say I hope that you find the confidence to believe in yourself and the dreams and the careers and the pathways that you have, and to be brave about saying yes to the opportunities that come in front of you, to take those. And if you're just someone else, maybe just a fan of Karinzza or of the department and have found this video, I just want to say thank you for your support and for being a part of the story that we have going on here.
All right, that concludes our conversation with Professor Sandras. To learn more about our department and faculty, visit csupueblo.edu or socostudentmedia.com. Thanks for tuning in. Go Pack.
Go Pack!